This is your daily briefing, and you are extremely welcome to it. This is a continuance of the last few days. We're going to be looking at who we've signed, who we're about to sign, and the impact of those signatures. All of this comes with a very polite notice. This is aimed at adults. So if I'm not screaming and cartwheeling and squawking at some of this activity, or being too over analytical, you are in the wrong place. We've got a second string goalkeeper, and we've got rid of some players that should have been moved on a long time ago. Let's not lose sight of that. There is room for cheer, and that hopefully overwhelms all other comments and contributions to the debate, because the more new faces we get into Hotspur Way, the better health will be in. Right, Toby's gone to a club called Alderweireld. 3-year deal, really good deal this. Look, I should imagine Tottenham chanced their arm in negotiating here because they weren't dealing with skint members. It's a 10 million farewell fee, plus it gets £120,000 a week off the books, which is good business. My understanding, and I'll come to him in a minute, is that our man Cristian Romero is on nothing like that. He might be on a third of that. So even if we, gave him a bit of double bubble or took him up to sort of whatever, it's still going to throw money back into the kitty. So this is great. Charlie Eccleshare says staggeringly good deal for Tottenham Hotspur. 32-year-old off the books. Directors of football across Europe were casting envious glances, rightly so. But I have to say, by the same token, look at where he's gone. Let's hope he behaves himself, because he played up under Poch and he played up under Mourinho, and those are the facts, folks. In the context of Spurs struggling to sell players, this is a really smart move. It would be great if we can pursue this sort of scenting of opportunity or blood, or whatever you want to call it, and be as quick to box clever as Tottenham have been in this particular respect. Great deal for everybody, but he should have been gone before but now. I know he was great, but he was being less great, and behind the scenes he was a long way from great. So, we're constantly talking about succession management at Tottenham and the failure to deliver it in a timely fashion. But this is a good cherry on the cake. Serge Aurier, this is a queer one. Spotted and photographed, I've got the snap on theboyhotspur.com, spotted at the Philips Stadion with a bodyguard. Yeah. And it was in Dutch, which I had translated very kindly for me by a reader, and they pursued the direction that Aurier and his bodyguard were going in order to get better pictures, because it was literally sort of a thing, and all they heard was the sound of an expensive car pulling away. A real sort of posh brum sort of noise, can you imagine? Gazzaniga has signed for Fulham. Quick heads up for those of you slow on the uptake, we don't get anything from that because we'd already released him. So I wonder if there was something there with Gazzaniga. I don't know, because Transfermarkt and other people had a value of a sort of £1.5 million, £2 million, which in these troubling times. And this leads me neatly on to where we're going to close. I'm not going to be particularly long today. Joachim Andersen, who we were told was heavily tipped by that great reporter but terrible journalist, told us that this was our number one centre-back target. Now it turns out he prefers Palace. I think more accurately he's been advised that Spurs are signing Romero, and all I would add is I didn't get excited over this guy. I took a few pelters for it. I didn't see the class or the quality there. And the fact that Palace have come in for him, opposed to you insert name of club, suggests to me that I might have been right. I don't think that anybody wakes up in the middle of the night and goes, oh, I wish I could go to Palace. I just don't think that happens. So, it's just another bit. I'll say it all the time until the penny drops. This disinformation passed off as I'm hearing. Forget it. Absolutely forget it. Please forget it. Right now, Bergamo Corriere are confident, super confident, that the Romero thing is a done deal. So my apologies again to those of you that like Tiller girls, exploding fireworks, and people high-fiving themselves, that I didn't open with this, screaming it, and big block and all that business, because it ain't announced yet. They think that it's 42 million euro, and they think that the add-ons are worth a further 10 million euro. We'll see what transpires. So I like to keep a ledger as well as things go, and I'm conscious of the fact that these numbers I'm giving you, they're the reported numbers, and so in respect specifically of Romero, I don't think there's any depth to any of the other numbers. I think they're all like goodbye, good luck. So if we go through those first, 25 million, these are the outgoings, the expenditure of Spurs so far. So 25 million for Bryan Gill, 13 million for the second string goalkeeper, okay? And his deal, incidentally, is based upon him hitting a certain number of appearances. That's how far down the pecking order he is. So again, I urge caution opposed to becoming extremely over agitated and excited at the thought of this guy. I think the fact that he released a rap song has only stirred the pot of those people who are just itching to burst into hysterics. So the current that's a current outgoings of Spurs, to which 42 million for Cristian Romero. I wonder though if that 42 million is all up front. I'm certain it'll be structured. All of the deals of this sort of size are structured, but that's the whole number, so we put it through. But I'm just saying, did Spurs get away with only giving them 20 million up front? And it's kind of a backloaded deal. It might reflect the fact that this is, I think it was mentioned somewhere that it was a 5-year contract. And if that's the case, that might just give Levy or Paratici the leverage to turn around and say, look, we'll offer him 5 years opposed to 3 or 4, but that means you're not going to get, of the 42, you're not going to get 30 up front. You're only going to get 22 or something of that nature. That would be my thinking, my guess at the rationale that's gone on there. So anyway, at a glance, we're looking at, there's obviously the exchange rate, because some of these are in sterling and some of these are in yo-yos, but we're looking at 80 million out the door so far, or thereabouts. Incoming money so far is 23 million. That's 13 for Juan and 10 for Toby. That leaves a shortfall right now, and that's if all these numbers are absolutely nailed on, on the money, of 57 million. All I can tell you is that when Bale was sold, we fell into this sort of vacuum, this whole thing of inertia, and suddenly it was like, oh, Spurs are interested in Bardiba, Spurs are interested in so-and-so. And gradually, and Sonny was the last, no, he wasn't, Sonny didn't feature in that, he was identified in that, but he was the last man. Can you imagine how bad our scouting was? The best man of the bunch, of the 8 that were in part of the shortlist, was actually the 8th man recruited. So we got the magnificent, or the less than magnificent 7 in, and Sonny was the 8th. But the way we went about buying them was everybody was sort of getting really nervous, because it was the deal was announced for, and this isn't necessarily in the right chronological order, but it was so and so and so and so and Lamella, and it was like, well, hang on a minute, this is a bit of a shopping list racking up. So hopefully we're in for another couple of interesting weeks, as interesting the last 2 or 3 days have been, where there appears to be some, as I say, daylight coming through the wind, flooding through the windows. But at the moment, we're in the region of £57 million or euros kind of exposed in the red. So if Aurier is going to PSV, that would be great. That would be great to get that in. But that's going to be somewhere in the region of, he's too old to spread it too far. But, you 18, 20 million, something in that ballpark. All I'd say on Romero, to sum up the activity of today and of this briefing, is I genuinely feel he looks like he's a good bet. I put some little highlight reels together from the scouting tool I used. Most people enjoyed them. Somebody didn't think they added much value, but self-control is a wonderful thing. The only thing I would say, there's the obvious concerns that he's moving from one league to another, and that can more frequently than not cause problems. I think this guy looks like an intelligent footballer. He looks like he's got a good footballing brain. I've now watched a few hours of him, and I wouldn't be so worried about that. My only concern is that he's and just not because of the money, but because of his role, he's taking on the mantle of no decent centre-backs other than Toby when he's fit, and at 32 he was increasingly not reliably available. There's going to be a lot of hope invested in this guy, and I hope the burden doesn't get to him, and I hope that it works. If you understand me, because I'm watching these videos of Romero and I'm thinking, I could see this guy working. There's a lot of intelligence there, and then I'm wondering about Eric Dyer to that side of him and Sanchez to that side of him, and that kind of brings me down a little bit. But all in all, we're getting some movement, and as I keep saying, that is a massively positive thing, because where we are right now, there is no comfort to be had by looking at good old Eric and good old Davinson and good old. We've got to go. We've got to move the faces and keep the dressing room freshened up and keep the atmosphere at Hotspur Way freshened up. The more new faces, the better. Finishing 7th, third tier of European football is not the Tottenham way. I won't bore you with the DNA conversation again, but that's not what we should be doing in the 21st century. So, and the only way you're going to do that is, well, the only way we can do it, because we spent all our money on capital assets, is to freshen up the personnel. And like I say, I'm going to keep saying it, if we go through a period of healing and a period of kind of slow rejuvenation, I'll be quite happy with that. Right, that's your lot. Speak to you soon. Good luck. Keep it Tottenham.